The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Selecting software for an automotive business involves significant operational, financial, and data security considerations. This content does not constitute professional business, legal, or financial advice. Every auto repair shop has unique requirements based on its size, location, and specialization. Viewers are strongly encouraged to conduct their own due diligence, consult with software experts or business consultants, and perform independent testing before committing to any specific platform or service agreement. The average American auto repair shop is currently losing between $20,000 and $30,000 every single year, not because the technicians are slow and not because the bays are empty, but because they are still running their business on 19th century logic in a 21st century digital economy. If you are sitting at your desk right now looking at a stack of paper ROs, scribbled greasy notes on the back of parts invoices, or a legacy server-based software that looks like it was coded for Windows 95, your shop is essentially a leaking bucket. You are pouring in hard work, sweat, and late nights, but the profit is draining out through the holes of inefficiency, forgotten parts markups, and unbilled labor hours. Most shop owners believe that better software is just a way to print prettier invoices, but the reality is much more high stakes. In an era where dealerships are spending millions on seamless customer interfaces and mobile-ready communication, the independent shop that fails to modernize is not just falling behind, it is becoming obsolete in the eyes of the modern American consumer. Today, we are opening the hood on the entire shop management ecosystem. This is not a superficial list of features. This is a deep dive masterclass into the digital nervous system of your business. We are going to look at why the standard way of doing things is costing you your retirement, and how the right choice in shop management software can transform a chaotic grease monkey operation into a high-margin, scalable enterprise. The problem starts with the old guard mentality. For decades, the American independent shop relied on local reputation and the gut feeling of the service writer. You knew your customers, you knew the cars, and you managed the workflow through sheer force of will. But the complexity of modern vehicles and the shift in consumer behavior have rendered that model unsustainable. Consider the historical trend of labor rates versus overhead. In the last decade, the cost of specialized diagnostic equipment, subscription-based repair data like Mitchell 1 or ALLDATA, and the rising wages for A-level technicians have skyrocketed. If your software isn't precisely capturing every minute of diagnostic time, or if it is failing to automatically update parts pricing based on real-time vendor feeds, you are absorbing those costs directly out of your net profit. We have seen case studies where shops switching from paper-based or basic legacy systems discovered they were underbilling by an average of 0.5 to 0.75 hours per ticket simply because of forgotten small tasks or rounded-down labor. At a 60-car per week volume, that is a potential outcome of over $100,000 in ghost revenue that simply vanished because the system wasn't built to capture it. The first pillar of this masterclass focuses on the digital vehicle inspection, or DVI. This is the single most transformative tool in the modern shop's arsenal, yet most owners use it as a glorified digital checklist. A true, high-level DVI integration within your shop management software changes the psychology of the sale. In the old days, a service writer called a customer and said, "Your brake pads are thin." The customer, inherently skeptical, often felt like they were being upsold. Now imagine a system where the technician takes a high-definition photo of the worn pad, next to a measurement gauge, records a 10-second video of a leaking water pump, and the software automatically texts that report to the customer's smartphone. The data shows that transparency through visual evidence increases average repair order or ARO by 30 to 40%. Why? Because you are no longer selling, you are educating. The customer sees the leak. They see the metal-on-metal contact. The software facilitates a yes, without the friction of a high-pressure sales pitch. If the software you are considering doesn't have a robust, lightning-fast DVI interface that works on a basic tablet, you are leaving the most powerful sales tool of the decade on the table. Beyond the customer-facing side, we have to talk about the back-end efficiency gap. The American shop owner often spends 4 to 6 hours a week just chasing parts. You call the local warehouse, you check the online portal of another, you compare prices, and then you manually enter that data into your invoice. A top-tier shop management system eliminates this through parts aggregator integration. We are talking about systems that allow you to punch out to every major local vendor: Napa, Worldpac, Advance, O'Reilly simultaneously. You see the cost, you see the availability, and with one click, the part is ordered, the purchase order is created, and the correct markup is applied to the customer's bill based on your preset profit matrices. This isn't just about saving time, it's about margin protection. If your software doesn't automatically adjust for price increases from the vendor, you might be selling a part for less than you paid for it by the time the invoice is closed. Then there is the issue of workflow orchestration. Most shops have a bottleneck, usually at the service desk or the lead tech's bay. Legacy systems are linear. They track a car from in to out. Modern high-performance software uses a digital Kanban board. It allows a shop foreman to see in real time which tech is clocked into which job, how many hours are left versus the estimated time, and which cars are waiting on parts. This level of granularity allows for potential outcomes, like increasing bay productivity by 20% without hiring a single new person. It's about eliminating the dead air, those 15-minute gaps where a tech is standing around waiting for the next task or waiting for a part to be checked in. When the software handles the communication, alerting the tech via their tablet that parts are here for RO5502, the momentum of the shop never stops. We also have to address the communication revolution. The modern American customer, particularly the younger demographic that is now owning the majority of vehicles on the road, hates talking on the phone. They want to communicate via text. If your software requires a service writer to pick up the phone for every approval, you are slowing down your entire operation. A deep dive into the best software reveals that two-way SMS integration is no longer a luxury. It is a baseline requirement. This allows for asynchronous communication. The service writer sends the estimate and the DVI at 10 a.m. The customer, who is in a meeting, reviews it at 10:15 a.m. and clicks Approve All at 10:20 a.m. The tech gets a notification and starts the job. No phone tag, no I'll call you back. No wasted hours. Shops that have moved to text-to-pay and text approvals see a dramatic decrease in cycle time. The total time a vehicle occupies a bay. As we move further into this masterclass, we will break down the specific financial reporting that your software must provide. If you can't pull a profitability by technician report or a parts margin by vendor report in under 60 seconds, you are flying blind. You might be busy, but are you profitable? Many shops discover that their top producer is actually their least profitable tech because they have high comeback rates, or they cherry-pick easy jobs that have low margins. The right software exposes these trends through data, allowing you to make management decisions based on facts rather than feelings. We will look at how to audit your shop's health through key performance indicators, or KPIs like labor gross profit percentage and effective labor rate. This video is designed to take you from the "I think we're doing okay" phase to the "I know exactly where every penny is" phase. We are going to examine the top players in the US market, from cloud-based giants like ShopMonkey and TechMetric to specialized systems like Repair Shopper and the heavy-duty capabilities of Mitchell 1's Manager SE. We will compare their feature sets, their pricing models, and most importantly, their ease of implementation. Because the best software in the world is useless if your crew refuses to use it. This is about building a future-proof foundation for your American shop, ensuring that as vehicles become more complex and customers become more demanding, your business remains a high-performance machine. Stay tuned because the difference between a shop that survives and a shop that thrives is written in the code of the tools you choose to use every single day. We are starting with the foundational architecture of the cloud versus the server, and why that single choice will determine your shop's agility for the next decade. Imagine Mike, a shop owner in Columbus, Ohio, who has been using the same server-based software since 2012. It is March 2026, and a massive storm knocks out the power to his block for 3 days. Because his data lives on a physical box in the back office, his entire business is paralyzed. He cannot look up customer history, he cannot check parts pricing, and he cannot even tell a customer when their car will be ready, because his digital life is trapped in a piece of unpowered hardware. Contrast this with Sarah, who runs a high-volume European specialty shop in Austin, Texas. When the same storm hits her area, she simply grabs her laptop, heads to a local coffee shop with a generator, and continues managing her technicians, ordering parts, and communicating with customers as if nothing happened. This is the fundamental difference between legacy on-premise systems and modern cloud-based architecture. In 2026, the cloud is no longer a luxury or a trend. It is the baseline for operational security. When we talk about cloud-based shop management software, we are talking about a system where your data is stored on encrypted, redundant servers managed by companies like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud. Historical trends show that shops moving to the cloud experience a 40% reduction in IT-related downtime. You no longer have to worry about server maintenance, manual backups at the end of the day, or the devastating risk of a hard drive failure wiping out 10 years of customer records. Furthermore, the cloud enables a level of mobility that was previously impossible. Imagine your technician, let us call him Dave, standing under a Ford F-150. With a cloud-based system, Dave has a rugged tablet in his hand. He scans the VIN, and instantly the entire service history of that vehicle appears. He does not have to walk back to a central terminal, wait for another tech to finish using it, and type in a 15-digit code. He stays at the car, stays in the zone, and stays productive. This reduction in movement, often called the walking tax, can save a technician up to 45 minutes of non-productive time every single day. Multiply that by 5 techs over a year, and the potential outcomes for your bottom line are staggering. However, the shift to the cloud is not just about disaster recovery or mobility, it is about the speed of innovation. With legacy software, you often have to wait for a physical disk or a massive, cumbersome download to get new features or updated labor times. In 2026, cloud software updates happen in the background, often weekly. If a new vehicle model is released with a complex ADAS calibration requirement, your cloud software is updated with the latest labor rates and procedures automatically. You do not have to buy the 2026 version. You are always on the current version. This ensures that your service writers are never quoting 2023 prices for 2026 labor. Let us do a deep dive into the integration capabilities that only truly modern software can provide. In the past, your shop software was an island. If you wanted to send an email blast, you had to export a CSV file and upload it to another program. If you wanted to track your marketing spend on Google Ads, you had to manually correlate invoices to clicks. Today, the best platforms use open APIs. This means your shop management software talks directly to your accounting software like QuickBooks Online, your marketing tools, and even your parts vendors. Imagine if every time a technician found a failed cabin air filter during a DVI, the software checked your local inventory first, then checked the nearest 3 vendors, and presented the service writer with the best price and an Order Now button that simultaneously updated the customer's estimate. This is not science fiction. This is the standard operating procedure for top-tier American shops in 2026. We also have to discuss the data ownership and portability factor. A common fear among shop owners is that moving to the cloud means losing control of their data. In reality, the opposite is often true. Legacy systems often make it incredibly difficult to bulk export your data if you ever decide to switch providers. Modern cloud platforms typically offer easy data portability. Case studies have shown that shops using transparent, cloud-based systems have a higher resale value when the owner decides to retire. Why? Because a prospective buyer can see a clean, verifiable, and easily accessible digital trail of the business's performance over years, not a dusty box of paper records or a proprietary database that requires a specialist to decode. Now, consider the security aspect. In 2026, cyber attacks on small businesses are at an all-time high. A local server in your shop is a soft target for ransomware. If your data is encrypted on your own machine and you are locked out, your business is held hostage. Cloud providers, however, employ multi-billion-dollar security protocols, including two-factor authentication and end-to-end encryption. Your data is safer in a professional data center than it is in a back office next to a break-room microwave. But there is a catch that many gurus won't tell you. A cloud-based shop is only as strong as its internet connection. This is where the step-by-step implementation becomes critical. If you are making the switch, you must invest in a failover internet system. This involves having a primary high-speed fiber or cable line and a secondary cellular-based backup like Starlink or a 5G business gateway. The software handles the logic, switching you to the backup the second the primary line drops. Without this, your high-tech cloud shop becomes a very expensive paperweight the moment a utility crew accidentally cuts a line down the street. Let us pivot to the user experience or UX. In a tight labor market, your choice of software is a recruitment and retention tool. Younger, digital native technicians do not want to work in a shop that feels like a step back in time. They expect intuitive interfaces that mimic the apps they use on their phones. If your software is difficult to navigate, requires 20 clicks to perform a simple task, or has a steep learning curve, your team will find workarounds or worse, leave for a shop that values their time and efficiency. Case studies from 2025 indicated that shops with high-rated management software had a 15% lower technician turnover rate. People want to work with tools that make their jobs easier, not harder. Think about the reporting and analytics depth. In a legacy system, running a report might take 5 minutes of processing time and give you a static PDF. In 2026, top-tier software provides a live dashboard. You can see your effective labor rate in real time. If your shop's posted rate is $180 an hour, but your effective rate is only $130, your software should be able to tell you exactly why. Is it because of bundled oil changes that are eating your lunch? Is it because a specific tech is consistently going over the flat rate time? Or is it because your service writers are giving away diagnostic time to be nice to customers? The cloud allows for comparative benchmarking, where you can anonymously see how your shop's performance compares to similar shops in your region. This data-driven approach removes the guesswork from management. Step by step, choosing the right architecture means first auditing your current hardware. Do your technicians have tablets? Is your shop-wide Wi-Fi strong enough to reach the back bays and the parking lot? Switching to the cloud is not just a software change. It is a hardware and culture change. You are moving from a command and control model where everything goes through one central computer to a distributed intelligence model, where every member of the team is empowered with the information they need, exactly where they are standing. As we look toward the next phase of this masterclass, we have to address the money in the middle. While the cloud provides the platform, the way you build your labor and parts matrices, inside that platform is what actually determines if you stay in business. Most shops are leaving thousands on the table because they use a flat markup percentage instead of a tiered escalator model. If you think your software is just for writing tickets, you are missing the most powerful profit multiplier in the industry. We are about to dive into the mathematical engine of your shop, how to set up your software to ensure every nut, bolt, and hour of expertise is accounted for with surgical precision. But before we get to the math, we have to look at the customer journey and how the wrong software interface can kill a sale before you even pop the hood. Imagine a customer trying to book an appointment at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. If your software isn't working while you are sleeping, you are already losing. Imagine a potential customer named Jennifer, who lives in a busy suburb of Denver. It is 10:45 p.m. on a Sunday night. Jennifer is mentally preparing for her work week when she remembers that her Honda CR-V has been making a rhythmic chirping sound every time she applies the brakes. She knows she needs to get it looked at, but she also knows that between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. tomorrow, she will be in back-to-back Zoom meetings. In a 2026 consumer landscape, Jennifer does not want to leave a voicemail and wait for a call back at 10 a.m. while she is presenting a quarterly report. She wants to handle this right now. She goes to your shop's website. If she sees a static contact us form that says we will get back to you, she might move on to the next shop. But if your shop management software features a real-time, integrated booking portal, the entire trajectory of your business changes. Jennifer clicks a button, selects breaks from a drop-down menu, sees your actual live availability for Tuesday morning, and secures her spot in 30 seconds. This is the first touch point of the digital customer journey. And if your software does not facilitate this 24/7 open for business reality, you are operating with a self-imposed ceiling on your growth. Historical trends in the U.S. automotive aftermarket show that shops implementing real-time online scheduling see an average increase of 15% in new customer acquisition within the first 6 months. This is not just about convenience. It is about capturing the high-intent customer at the exact moment they are thinking about their vehicle. The software must do more than just take a name and number. It must integrate directly with your shop's calendar. It needs to understand your labor capacity. If you only have 2 techs working on Tuesday, the software should not allow 5 heavy engine diagnostics to be booked. High-level platforms in 2026 use smart scheduling logic that accounts for bay count, technician skill levels, and even parts delivery windows before confirming an appointment. Once Jennifer arrives at the shop on Tuesday, the software continues to drive the experience. Imagine the difference in perception when Jennifer walks in and the service advisor, let us call him Marcus, greets her by name because his dashboard showed her scheduled arrival. Instead of handing her a greasy clipboard with a Xerox form, Marcus slides a sleek tablet across the counter. Jennifer reviews her information, signs with her finger, and receives a digital copy of the pre-work authorization via text before she even leaves the parking lot. This level of professionalism is what separates the modern service center from the old garage. It builds immediate trust. Case studies from 2025 indicated that shops using digital check-in processes have a higher customer retention rate because the transparency of the digital record makes the customer feel like their vehicle's health history is being managed with the same care as their own medical records. Now let us move into the deep inspection phase. This is where the software either makes you money or costs you your reputation. As Jennifer's CRV is pulled into the bay, your technician, Alex, begins a digital vehicle inspection or DVI. In the past, a tech might scribble brakes 3 millimeters on a piece of paper. In 2026, the software guides Alex through a specific tiered inspection process. He takes a photo of the brake pads next to a digital color-coded gauge. He records a video of the brake fluid test strip showing high moisture content. He notes that the cabin air filter is clogged with debris. As he clicks Submit, the software automatically pushes these findings to Marcus at the front desk. Here is where the magic of step-by-step transparency happens. Marcus does not just call Jennifer to tell her the news. He uses the software to build a digital estimate. This estimate is not a wall of text. It is an interactive presentation. Marcus sends a link to Jennifer's phone. She opens it and sees a good, better, best choice for her brake pads, complete with the photos of her actual car and educational videos explaining why moisture in brake fluid leads to internal component corrosion. Jennifer can see the price for each item, the labor breakdown, and the total with tax. She can click a green checkmark next to the brakes and the fluid flush, but perhaps she clicks Decline or Save for later on the cabin air filter. The software instantly updates the RO, notifies Alex in the back that he is cleared to start the brakes, and sends a thank you text to Jennifer. This seamless loop eliminates the middleman friction that kills productivity in traditional shops. The potential outcomes of this digital interaction are profound. When a customer can see the problem with their own eyes on their own device, the sales part of the job becomes solutions consultation. Data from thousands of US shops shows that digital estimates with photos have a 24% higher approval rate for suggested maintenance items compared to phone-based estimates. Jennifer feels empowered, not pressured. She is more likely to authorize the work because she understands the why behind the what. However, the customer journey does not end when the car is on the lift. The software must manage the waiting anxiety. In 2026, the best shop management systems provide status updates automatically. As Alex finishes the brakes and moves to the final test drive, the software triggers a text. Alex is finishing up the final quality check on your CRV. We'll have it ready for you shortly. This proactive communication prevents the customer from calling the shop to ask, "Is it done yet?" Every time a service writer has to answer a status call, they are pulled away from selling or managing the workflow. If your software can automate 5 of those calls per day, you've regained 30 minutes of high-value time. Then comes the final friction point: payment. Imagine Jennifer is finished with her work day. She does not want to stand in line at the counter or rush to the shop before it closes at 5:30 p.m. Modern software offers text to pay. Marcus sends Jennifer a secure link. She pays via Apple Pay or a saved credit card while she is still at her office. She receives her final invoice and a digital receipt. She can even choose after-hours pickup, where the software integrates with a smart key locker system. She arrives at 6:15 p.m., enters a code she received via text, gets her keys and goes home. Her car is fixed, her day was not interrupted, and she is already thinking about leaving a 5-star review. Speaking of reviews, the best software handles reputation management as the final step of the journey. 24 hours after the car leaves the shop, the software sends a follow-up text. "How is the CRV stopping, Jennifer? We value your feedback." If Jennifer clicks a high rating, it prompts her to share that review on Google or Yelp. If she clicks a low rating, it immediately alerts the shop owner so they can call her and resolve the issue before it becomes a public complaint. This closed-loop feedback is how elite American shops maintain 4.9-star ratings in a competitive market. This entire sequence, from 11 p.m. booking to 6 p.m. pickup, is only possible if your software is a unified ecosystem. If you are using one program for scheduling, another for inspections, and a third for billing, the data gets fragmented, the customer experience becomes disjointed, and you are working 10 times harder than you need to. We have seen case studies where the digital transformation of the customer journey resulted in a 15% increase in average repair order and a 60% reduction in non-billable service writer hours. But here is the open loop for the next part of this masterclass. While the customer sees a smooth, professional interface, what is happening behind the curtain? How do you ensure that the price Jennifer saw on her screen is actually making you money after you pay for the parts, the technician's commission, the shop's rent, and the rising cost of utilities in 2026? Most shop owners are busy but broke, because their software's financial engine is set up incorrectly. In the next section, we are going to tear apart your parts and labor matrices. We are going to look at why a standard 60% markup is actually a recipe for failure, and how to use your software to build a profit-first pricing model that protects your bottom line against inflation and rising labor costs. If you don't get the math right, Jennifer's 5-star experience is just a fast track to your shop's bankruptcy. We are going deep into the numbers next. Let us talk about the math that most shop owners ignore until it is too late. It is 2026, and the cost of doing business in the United States has shifted. If you are still using a flat 60% markup on every part that comes through your door, you are likely losing money on high-ticket items and leaving massive amounts of revenue on the table for smaller components. This is where the financial engine of your shop management software becomes your most critical asset. We are moving away from the finger-in-the-wind method of pricing and moving toward the escalator matrix. Imagine a shop owner named Robert in Charlotte, North Carolina. Robert is a brilliant technician, but his books are a mess. He buys a high-end turbocharger for a customer's SUV for $1,000. He applies his standard 60% markup, bringing the price to $1,600. He thinks he just made $600 in profit. But after he factors in the shipping costs, the credit card processing fees, the overhead of the bay, and the warranty reserve he has to set aside in case that part fails, his actual net profit on that part is razor thin. Conversely, when he sells a $3 oil drain plug gasket with that same 60% markup, he sells it for $4.80. He just spent 5 minutes of a service writer's time and 3 minutes of a technician's time to make $1.80. This is a fundamental failure of logic that modern software corrects through a tiered parts matrix. A sophisticated shop management system allows you to build a matrix that scales. For a part that costs you between $0 and $5, your markup should not be 60%. It should be 300 or 400%. That drain plug gasket should be $12, not $4. As the cost of the part goes up, the markup percentage gradually escalates downward. For that $1,000 turbocharger, a 25 or 30% markup might be the sweet spot to stay competitive while still capturing a meaningful dollar amount. Case studies from 2025 show that shops moving from a flat markup to a tiered escalator matrix saw an immediate 4 to 7% increase in total gross profit without increasing their car count by a single vehicle. Your software should allow you to set and forget these rules so that every time a part is pulled into an estimate, the math is done perfectly every single time. But parts are only half the battle. Let's look at the labor rate trap. In 2026, the posted labor rate is a vanity metric. What actually matters is your effective labor rate, or ELR. If your sign on the wall says $200 an hour, but your software reveals that after shop supplies discounts, friend and family favors, and flat rate menu pricing on oil changes, you are only collecting $140 for every billable hour, you have a $60 per hour leak. High-level shop management software tracks this in real time. It compares the clock time, the actual time your tech spent with a wrench in their hand, against the build time. Imagine a scenario where your lead tech, Chris, is a wizard with diagnostics. He solves a complex electrical ghost in 45 minutes, but the labor guide says it should take 3 hours. In a legacy system, you might just bill the 45 minutes or get confused on how to log the value-based pricing. A modern system allows you to capture that 3-hour labor charge correctly, rewarding the shop for the expertise and the expensive diagnostic equipment you've invested in. Conversely, if a junior tech takes 6 hours to do a 4-hour break job, the software flags that labor leakage immediately. You can see, per technician and per job type, exactly where you are losing efficiency. Historical trends in the U.S. market suggest that shops using real-time labor tracking identify enough lost time to add the equivalent of one full technician's productivity to their monthly output without actually hiring anyone new. Then there is the shop supplies and EPA fees calculation. Too many shops guesstimate these, or worse, forget them entirely. In 2026, the cost of chemicals, rags, brake cleaner, and waste disposal has reached an all-time high. Your software should be configured to automatically add a percentage-based shop supply fee to every RO, capped at a reasonable limit like $40 or $50. If you are doing 60 cars a week and you forget a $5 supply fee on each one, you are giving away over $15,000 a year in consumables. Your software makes this automatic and defensible to the customer because it is a standard, line-item charge backed by the system's logic. Let's dive deeper into the tech commission and productivity module. How do you pay your team? Whether you use a flat rate system, a stepped wage model, or a base plus bonus, your software must handle the payroll math natively. Imagine if your software could show your technicians a live leaderboard on their tablets. Techs like Chris and Dave can see their efficiency rating for the week. This gamification, when handled correctly, creates a culture of high performance. But more importantly, it ensures that your labor burden, the total cost of your technicians including taxes and benefits, never exceeds your labor revenue. If the software detects that your labor margin is dipping below 65%, it should trigger an alert for the manager. This is management by exception, and it is the only way to scale a shop in a high-inflation environment. Consider the inventory management nightmare. In the past, shops would have thousands of dollars in dead stock, sitting on shelves, filters for cars they haven't seen in 3 years or oil that has gone obsolete. A 2026 Deep Dive Masterclass requires you to use the just-in-time inventory features of your software. The system should track your stock turns. If a certain air filter hasn't moved in 90 days, the software tells you to stop stocking it and move to on-demand ordering. It should also integrate with your core tracking. How many hundreds of dollars are sitting in your core pile right now because someone forgot to return a starter or an alternator? Modern software tracks every core from the moment the part arrives until the credit is issued by the vendor. For a high-volume shop, this core management alone can recover $500 to $1,000 a month in trapped capital. Step by step, the financial setup of your software should look like this. First, audit your last 3 months of parts purchases and sales to build your custom escalator matrix. Second, calculate your true shop overhead to determine your minimum profitable labor rate. Third, toggle on automatic shop supplies and hazardous waste fees. Fourth, and this is the secret sauce, set up parts price scraping. This is a feature where the software periodically checks your vendors to ensure that if their price to you went up by $2 this morning, your retail price on the invoice goes up by $3 this afternoon. In 2026, price creep is real, and if you aren't adjusting daily, your margins are evaporating. We also have to look at fleet management logic. If your shop services local delivery vans or government vehicles, your software must handle custom price lists. You cannot charge a fleet of 50 vans the same way you charge a one-time retail customer. The software should recognize the fleet ID and automatically apply the negotiated labor rates and parts discounts, ensuring you stay within contract while still maintaining a profit. The potential outcomes of mastering the financial engine are the difference between a shop owner who is owning a job and an entrepreneur who is owning an asset. But even if your math is perfect, there is a hidden killer that can still ruin your month: the parts procurement gap. If your techs are waiting for parts to arrive, they aren't turning wrenches. If they aren't turning wrenches, that perfect labor rate doesn't matter because no hours are being billed. In the next part, we are going to look at how to use your software to sync the supply chain. We will explore how to integrate with every local warehouse and even national distribution centers to ensure that the parts arrive before the tech even has the old ones off the car. We are moving from financial accuracy to operational velocity, and it all starts with the virtual parts room. If you aren't using electronic ordering to its full potential, you are still living in the dark ages. Imagine a technician named Brandon working in a busy multi-bay shop in Phoenix, Arizona. It is a Tuesday morning in 2026, and Brandon has just diagnosed a failed secondary air injection pump on a late-model German SUV. In the old world, Brandon would walk to the service desk, wait for the advisor to finish a phone call, hand over a greasy note, and then wait another 20 minutes while the advisor called 3 different vendors to check price and availability. During those 20 minutes, Brandon is likely checking his phone or cleaning his toolbox. He is not billing hours. This is the death of shop productivity. In the masterclass of 2026, your shop management software must function as a virtual parts room that eliminates every second of that wasted time. The moment Brandon identifies the part on his tablet, the software should allow him to initiate a parts search that scans every local and national vendor in his network simultaneously. We call this the integrated parts aggregator. In a matter of seconds, the system displays that the local warehouse has it in stock for $200. A second vendor has a premium version for $250 with a 3-year warranty, and a national distributor can have it there by tomorrow morning for $180. Brandon selects the local warehouse for the immediate fix. This choice, along with the correct part number and live pricing, is pushed instantly to the service advisor's dashboard. There is no walking, no talking, and no manual data entry. Historical trends in the U.S. automotive industry show that shops utilizing fully integrated electronic parts ordering reduce their parts procurement time by 65%. When you apply that across every repair order in a month, you are looking at dozens of hours of service advisor time recovered. But the efficiency goes deeper than just finding the part. It is about the accuracy of the procurement. Imagine if the service advisor, let us call her Elena, approves the quote Jennifer received on her phone. With one click, Elena orders the parts. The software sends a digital purchase order to the vendor, locks in the price, and, this is the critical step, automatically creates a pending parts arrival notification. In 2026, top-tier software like Techmetric or ShopMonkey uses API connections that provide real-time tracking. Elena can see that the delivery truck is 3 stops away. She can then update the workflow board to show that the car will be ready for Brandon to reassemble in approximately 30 minutes. This level of operational velocity means the bay is never empty, and the technician is never waiting on the truck, without knowing exactly when it will arrive. We must also look at the financial reconciliation of these parts. A common leak in American shops is the unreconciled invoice. A part arrives, the tech installs it, the car leaves, but the paper invoice from the vendor gets lost under a stack of magazines in the break room. At the end of the month, the shop pays a statement that includes parts they never actually billed to a customer. Case studies from 2025 indicated that the average independent shop loses between 1 and 3% of their total parts gross profit to these missing invoices. Modern software solves this by requiring a digital check-in for every part. When the driver hands the part to the tech or a parts specialist scans the barcode. The software matches the part to the specific RO and the specific PO. If there is a discrepancy in price, even if it is just $5, the software flags it for Elena. This ensures that your parts margin is protected down to the penny. Then there is the core management revolution. Cores are the hidden debt of the auto repair world. An alternator might have a $75 core charge. If your shop does 10 alternators a month and fails to return the cores or track the credits, that is $9,000 a year in lost cash flow. In 2026, your software should treat a core like a financial asset. It should show a red alert on the dashboard for any core that has not been picked up by the vendor within 48 hours. The software tracks the core credit from the vendor's statement and automatically reconciles it against your account. This turns a chaotic pile of old metal in the back of the shop into a streamlined stream of recovered capital. Consider the stocking strategy for high-velocity consumables. Even in a just-in-time world, you still need oil filters and wiper blades on the shelf. But how much? In 2026, smart inventory features analyze your historical data. The software might tell you that over the last 6 months, you've serviced 42 Toyota Camrys. It will then suggest that you keep exactly 4 oil filters for that model in stock at all times. When you use the last one, the software automatically adds it to your next daily order from your preferred vendor. This is automated replenishment. It prevents the Friday afternoon crisis, where you realize you are out of the one filter you need to finish a job before the weekend. Let us dive into the returns process. Every shop deals with parts that are ordered but not used, or parts that arrive damaged. In a manual system, these parts often sit on a shelf for months, effectively dead money. A high-performance shop management system has a dedicated returns workflow. It tracks exactly which parts are sitting in the return bin and how long they have been there. It generates a return memo for the parts driver to sign, providing a digital paper trail. This ensures that you aren't paying for inventory that you already sent back. Potential outcomes of this level of inventory discipline include a 10% increase in available cash flow, allowing you to invest in better equipment or technician training. Step by step, to master the parts ecosystem, you first need to clean your vendor list. In 2026, if a vendor doesn't offer a digital integration or a live iShop or Epicur connection, they are costing you money in labor time. Second, you must mandate that every part is received in the software before it touches the vehicle. Third, you should use margin protection settings. If a vendor raises their price, the software should automatically alert you if your retail price falls below your desired profit margin. The complexity increases when we talk about tires. In the US, tire sales are a low-margin, high-volume necessity to keep customers from going to the big-box retailers. Your software must have a specialized tire module. This module should pull live inventory from massive regional distributors like American Tire Distributors or National Tire Wholesale. It should include the tire DOT tracking requirements for safety and recall purposes, and it should automatically calculate the tire disposal fees and state lead-acid battery fees, where applicable. If your software treats a tire like a standard part, you are going to struggle with the specific data requirements that 2026 regulations demand. We also have to address sublet repairs. When you send a car out for an alignment or a specialized glass repair, that is a parts and labor hybrid. Your software should track the vehicle's location via a sublet status and ensure that the vendor's invoice is captured and marked up correctly. This prevents the forgotten sublet, where the shop pays the glass company but forgets to bill the customer for the service. The virtual parts room is the engine of your shop's efficiency, but it only works if the data integrity is flawless. This leads us to a massive open loop for the next part of this masterclass. Even with the best parts and the fastest techs, your shop will fail if your schedule is a mess. How do you balance drop-ins versus appointments? How do you ensure that Brandon isn't overbooked while Dave is sitting idle? In the next section, we are going to dissect capacity planning. We will look at how 2026 AI-driven scheduling tools can predict exactly how many hours you can sell in a day, based on your current staff's historical speed. If you are still using a paper calendar or a basic digital grid, you are likely either burning out your team or starving your bank account. We are going to show you how to find the sweet spot of maximum throughput without the chaos. Imagine Tom, who owns a high-volume independent shop in Seattle, Washington. It is a rainy Monday morning in April 2026, and Tom is facing the classic shop owner's dilemma. He has 15 cars dropped off in the first hour, 2 technicians who called in sick, and 3 customers currently sitting in his waiting room expecting their vehicles to be ready for their lunch hour commute. In a traditional shop, this is the moment where the service advisor starts sweating, the technicians start rushing, and the quality of work begins to plummet. Tom's legacy calendar shows him who is coming in, but it doesn't show him the most important metric in his business: his true labor capacity. In the 2026 Masterclass of Shop Management, we have to stop looking at the schedule as a list of names and start looking at it as an inventory of perishable seconds. Every minute a technician spends looking for a tool, waiting for a bay to open up, or standing at the parts counter is a unit of inventory that has expired and can never be sold again. Historical trends in the U.S. automotive market suggest that the average shop operates at only 60 to 70% of its actual capacity, simply due to scheduling inefficiencies. If you have 5 technicians working 40 hours a week, you have 200 hours of inventory to sell. If your software isn't helping you manage that inventory with the same precision that a grocery store manages its milk, you are throwing away tens of thousands of dollars in potential outcomes every single month. Modern, AI-driven scheduling tools within top-tier software like Techmetric or ShopMonkey have moved beyond the simple grid. These systems use historical data from your specific shop to predict exactly how long a job will take. For example, the software knows that for Tom's lead technician, Dave, a timing belt on a 2018 Honda Odyssey typically takes 3.8 hours, even though the labor guide says 4.5. However, it also knows that for the junior tech Jackson, that same job takes 5.2 hours. When Tom's service writer goes to book that appointment, the software doesn't just look for an open slot. It looks for the right slot. It suggests booking the Odyssey when Dave has a 4-hour window, or it warns the advisor that if they give it to Jackson, the shop's overall throughput for the afternoon will be delayed by nearly an hour and a half. This is what we call load leveling. Imagine if your software could visualize your shop's digestive system. If you book 5 heavy engine diagnostics all at 8 a.m., you create a constipation point at your diagnostic equipment and your lead tech's bay. The cars sit, the customers get frustrated, and the shop feels chaotic. A smart scheduling system in 2026 uses staggered intake. It directs the service advisor to schedule the heavy diagnostics for 8 a.m., 10 a.m., and 1 p.m., while filling the gaps with quick-turn maintenance like oil changes and tire rotations. This ensures that the flow of work through the shop is a steady stream, rather than a series of tidal waves. Let's look at a case study of a shop in Chicago that implemented predictive capacity planning in late 2025. Before the switch, they were constantly overbooked on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and ghost town quiet on Friday afternoons. By using software that offered a customer-facing dynamic pricing model for scheduling, they were able to offer small incentives for customers to book their routine maintenance during off-peak hours, like Friday at 2 p.m. The potential outcome was a 22% increase in total billed hours per month without adding any new staff. They simply redistributed the work to match their actual capacity. The software also needs to manage the waiter psychology. In Tom's Seattle shop, the 3 people in the waiting room are high priority. In 2026, your software should have a waiter mode toggle. When a car is checked in as a waiter, it should automatically move to the top of the technician's dispatch list and trigger a priority status on the digital workflow board. The software tracks the elapsed wait time and sends an alert to the service writer if the car hasn't moved into a bay within 15 minutes. This prevents the forgotten customer syndrome, where a simple oil change takes 2 hours because the tech got distracted by a bigger job. Furthermore, the schedule must be parts-aware. This is a deep dive detail that many shop owners overlook. If Tom is scheduling a brake job for Thursday morning, the software should cross-reference that appointment with the parts procurement module we discussed earlier. If the necessary rotors are on backorder and won't arrive until Friday, the software should flag the appointment in red on Tuesday. This allows the service writer to call the customer 48 hours in advance to reschedule, rather than calling them at 10 a.m. on Thursday after they've already dropped off their car and hitched a ride to work. This proactive management of the supply chain to bay connection is the hallmark of a high-performance 2026 operation. Step by step, implementing this level of scheduling mastery requires a culture shift. First, you must move away from the first-come, first-served mentality. Your software should allow you to categorize jobs by velocity. Maintenance is high velocity. Deep diagnostics are low velocity. Second, you must accurately tag your technicians' skill sets in the system. If a tech isn't certified for ADAS calibrations, the software should literally prevent a service writer from dragging an ADAS job onto that tech schedule. Third, you need to utilize buffer time. A smart system leaves a 10% emergency gap in the daily schedule to account for the while you're in there discoveries, the broken bolt, the unexpected leak, or the customer who desperately needs a bulb changed while their car is already on the lift. Imagine the peace of mind for Tom when he can look at his dashboard and see a capacity bar for the week. It's currently at 85%. He knows he has room for 3 more emergency squeeze-ins, but should turn away any more heavy engine work until next Monday. This data-driven yes or no is what prevents technician burnout. When you constantly overbook and force your team to work through lunch or stay until 7 p.m. to clear the lot, you are increasing the likelihood of comebacks and employee turnover. In 2026, a tech who feels respected by a well-managed schedule is a tech who stays with your shop for a decade. The potential outcomes of this level of control extend to your effective labor rate as well. When you are not rushing, you are not missing things on the DVI. When you are not missing things, your average repair order naturally climbs. We have seen case studies where shops increased their ARO by over $200 simply because the technicians had the scheduled time to actually perform a thorough inspection instead of just slapping pads to get to the next car in the overcrowded lot. But there is a final critical piece of the scheduling puzzle: technician dispatching. How does the work get from the schedule to the tech's tablet? If your service advisor is still picking favorites, or the techs are cherry-picking the easy jobs from a physical pile of ROs, your capacity planning is a myth. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the dispatching algorithms of 2026. We will look at automatic dispatching versus foreman-led dispatching, and how to use your software to ensure the right job goes to the right tech at the right time, every single time. We are going to look at the efficiency versus productivity metrics that will tell you if your techs are actually working or just staying busy. If you don't master the dispatch, the best schedule in the world is just a wish list. We are going into the bay next. The transition from the front office to the service bay is where most American auto repair shops either cement their profitability or watch it bleed out through 1,000 tiny cuts of inefficiency. In 2026, the concept of a paperwork order is not just antiquated, it is a liability. Imagine Kevin, a shop foreman in a high-volume facility in Atlanta. Kevin is managing 8 technicians, ranging from entry-level loop techs to master-level diagnostic specialists. In the old days, Kevin would spend half his morning walking from bay to bay, asking, "What are you working on?" or "How much longer on that alternator?" This manual check-in process is a form of friction that modern shop management software is designed to eliminate through digital dispatching and real-time labor tracking. The first major hurdle in any bay is the cherry-picking phenomenon. In a manual shop where repair orders are stacked in a physical bin, technicians will naturally gravitate toward the high-margin, easy jobs, the brake pads, the spark plugs, the quick bolt-on components. They leave the heavy engine teardowns and the nightmare electrical ghosts for the end of the day or for someone else to grab. This creates a massive bottleneck and leaves your most difficult, highest-paying customers waiting the longest. In 2026, the best software uses a next-up dispatching algorithm. When a technician like Dave finishes his current task, he taps a button on his tablet to mark it as complete. The software immediately looks at the priority list, the technician's specific skill tags, and the estimated time remaining in the day, and then pushes the exact right job to Dave's screen. Dave doesn't choose his work. The business strategy chooses the work for him based on what maximizes the shop's throughput. This leads us to the critical distinction between three metrics that every shop owner must track, but few truly understand: productivity, efficiency, and proficiency. If your software does not give you a live dashboard for these three KPIs, you are essentially flying a plane without a fuel gauge. Let us break down the math as it stands in the 2026 landscape. Productivity is the measure of how many hours your technician is actually clocked into a repair order versus how many hours they are clocked into the building. If Dave is at the shop for 8 hours but only clocked into cars for 6 hours, his productivity is 75%. Where did those other 2 hours go? Were they spent cleaning, waiting for parts, or talking at the water cooler? Modern software allows you to categorize non-billable time. By requiring Dave to clock into shop cleanup or parts wait, the software reveals the hidden dead time in your workflow. Case studies from 2025 show that shops identifying and reducing parts wait time by just 30 minutes a day per tech saw a potential outcome of an extra $5,000 in billed labor per month. Efficiency, on the other hand, is the ratio of billed hours to actual clocked hours. If the labor guide says a job takes 3 hours and Dave finishes it in 2, his efficiency is 150%. This is the speed metric. However, high efficiency is dangerous if it isn't paired with a quality control module in your software. In 2026, top-tier platforms track comeback rates per technician. If Dave is finishing jobs in half the time but 10% of his cars come back within 30 days for a warranty issue, he isn't efficient. He is a liability. Your software should automatically flag any technician whose comeback rate exceeds a 2% threshold, allowing for immediate coaching. Finally, proficiency is the ultimate metric, billed hours divided by the hours the tech is available to work. This tells you if you are actually making money on that employee's stall space. Imagine if Kevin could look at a screen and see that his B-level tech, Sarah, has a proficiency of 90% while his master tech, Dave, is sitting at 60%. This data might reveal that Dave is being bogged down with oil change tickets because the dispatching is poorly managed, wasting his high-dollar diagnostic skills on low-dollar maintenance. By reconfiguring the software to prioritize skill-based dispatching, Kevin can ensure Dave is only working on high-value diagnostics, which historically trends toward a higher effective labor rate for the shop. Step by step, the implementation of a digital bay starts with tablet integration. Every technician must have a dedicated device. We are seeing a move in 2026 toward ruggedized tablets that feature biometric logins, fingerprint or facial recognition, to ensure that when a tech clocks into a job, it is actually them. This prevents buddy punching and ensures the labor data is accurate for payroll. Second, you must set up labor phases. A job shouldn't just be in progress. It should be digital inspection, awaiting approval, parts pending, wrenching, and quality control. This granularity allows the service advisor at the front desk to answer a customer's question without ever picking up the phone to call the back. They can simply see on their monitor, Dave is 60% through the wrenching phase on the F-150. We also need to discuss the gamification of the bay. Many shops in the US are now using their management software to display live leaderboards in the break room. This isn't about shaming slow techs. It's about creating a culture of transparency. When a technician can see their own efficiency rating in real time, they often find ways to shave off those wasted minutes themselves. They become stakeholders in the shop's success. Potential outcomes include a more engaged workforce and a natural increase in hours per RO, as techs realize that a more thorough DVI leads to more approved work on their screen. Consider the digital foreman feature found in high-end 2026 software. This tool uses AI to scan the active ROs and detect stalled jobs. If a car hasn't had a labor punch in 60 minutes and it isn't marked as parts pending, the software sends a push notification to Kevin's watch. He can then walk over to that bay and find out what's wrong. Maybe the tech hit a snag with a rusted bolt, or maybe they just got distracted. This proactive intervention prevents a job that should have taken 2 hours from dragging into 4, protecting your bay turning capacity. But even the most efficient bay in the world is useless if you don't have a steady stream of cars coming through the door. This brings us to a massive open loop. While your technicians are focused on the cars in front of them, your software should be focused on the cars that aren't there yet. How do you ensure that when Jennifer's Honda CR-V is due for its next service 6 months from now, she doesn't go to the dealership? How do you turn a one-time brake job customer into a lifetime loyalty client without spending thousands on a marketing agency? In the next part, we are going into the CRM and marketing engine of your shop software. We will look at automated retention and why the last service date is the most valuable piece of data in your entire building. If you aren't using your software to harvest your database, you are working twice as hard for half the money. We are talking about the fortune in the follow-up next. Imagine a shop owner named Carlos in San Antonio, Texas. It is August 2026, and the summer heat has finally broken, but so has the steady stream of customers that usually floods his bays. Carlos looks at his schedule for next Tuesday and sees only 3 oil changes and a flat repair. In a traditional shop, this is when the panic sets in. Carlos might consider spending $3,000 on a last-minute Google Ads campaign, or mailing out thousands of glossy postcards that most people will throw in the trash before they even walk through their front door. This is the old way of buying customers. In the 2026 Masterclass of Shop Management, your software should ensure you never have to buy a customer twice. Your database is not just a digital filing cabinet. It is a high-yield savings account that pays dividends every time you engage the CRM engine. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management, but in the automotive world, it really stands for consistency, recall, and maintenance. Historical trends in the U.S. automotive aftermarket show that it costs nearly 6 times more to acquire a brand new customer than it does to retain an existing one. If your software isn't automatically mining your data to find lost customers, you are effectively burning cash. Let's look at how a modern system like TechMetric or ShopMonkey handles automated retention. 6 months ago, a customer named Jennifer came in for those brakes we discussed earlier. During that visit, your technician Alex noted on the DVI that her tires had about 430 seconds of tread left. Not a safety hazard then, but something to watch. In a legacy shop, that note dies on a piece of paper. In 2026, your software sees that note, calculates Jennifer's average mileage based on her last 3 visits, and predicts exactly when those tires will hit 230 seconds. 2 weeks before that date, the software triggers an automated, personalized text. "Hi Jennifer, it is Carlos from the shop. When we saw your CR-V in March, we noticed your tires were getting low. Based on your driving, you are likely due for a replacement soon to stay safe for the rainy season. Would you like to see a few quotes for a new set?" This isn't spam. It is a highly relevant, data-driven service. Jennifer, who is busy and likely forgot about her tires, appreciates the reminder. She clicks a link in the text, views 3 tire options pre-selected by the software's parts aggregator, and books an appointment. The potential outcome of this single automated text is an $800 sale that required 0 effort from Carlos or his service writer. This is what we call service reminders on autopilot. But it goes deeper than just tires. Your software should be mining the declined work. Every time a customer says no to a suggested repair, that data is gold. A high-performance shop management system keeps a running tally of unsold estimates. Imagine if your software generated a weekly report of every customer who declined a cooling system flush or a timing belt over the last 90 days. You can then send a targeted educational campaign to just those people, explaining the risks of overheating in the Texas summer. Case studies from early 2026 indicate that shops using declined work remarketing recover an average of 12% of their previously lost estimates within 30 days of the initial visit. Now, consider the power of lifecycle marketing. Vehicles have predictable needs. At 60,000 miles, they need a specific set of fluids. At 100,000 miles, they need spark plugs and perhaps a water pump. If your software is integrated with a motor data or carry feed, it knows the manufacturer's maintenance schedule for every VIN in your system. It can then send milestone alerts to your customers. Imagine a customer named David receiving a message, "Happy 100,000-mile birthday to your F-150, David. To keep it running for another 100,000, here is what Ford recommends doing this month." This level of proactive care transforms you from a mechanic into a trusted vehicle advisor. Step by step, to master your CRM engine, you first need to ensure data hygiene. If your service writers aren't capturing cell phone numbers and email addresses at every check-in, your marketing engine has no fuel. In 2026, your software should have a data completeness score for every customer file. Second, you must segment your audience. You shouldn't send a diesel performance coupon to a woman driving a Tesla. Modern software allows for smart tagging. You can tag customers by fleet, high spender, European specialist, or commuter. This allows for sniper marketing, highly targeted messages that have a much higher conversion rate than shotgun marketing. Then there is the issue of social proof and reputation management. In 2026, a 4.2-star rating is the same as a 2-star rating in the eyes of the consumer. They want 4.8 or higher. Your software must be the primary driver of your Google and Yelp reviews. We have seen shops that manually ask for reviews get a 3% response rate. Shops that use automated review requests sent via text 15 minutes after the invoice is paid see a 20 to 30% response rate. The software should also feature a feedback gate. If a customer leaves a 3-star rating or lower in your internal survey, the software should immediately notify the owner and not send the link to Google. This gives you a recovery window to call the customer, fix the problem, and turn a disgruntled person into a loyal fan before they can damage your online reputation. Let's talk about loyalty programs. The American consumer is conditioned by Starbucks and Amazon to expect rewards for their loyalty. Your shop software should have a built-in rewards module. Perhaps for every dollar spent, Jennifer earns a point. When she reaches 500 points, she gets $25 off her next service. This gamification of maintenance keeps the customer coming back to your shop instead of drifting to the quick lube place down the street for a $5 discount. It builds a moat around your business that competitors can't easily cross. However, the most advanced feature of 2026 CRM is predictive churn analysis. The software looks at the behavior of your customers. If David used to come in every 3 months for an oil change but hasn't been seen in 7 months, the software flags him as at risk. It then triggers a "We Miss You" offer, perhaps a free wiper blade replacement or a complimentary digital health check. This intervention marketing is designed to catch the customer before they form a new habit with the competitor. Potential outcomes of churn reduction can lead to a 10 to 15% increase in annual revenue simply by keeping the back door of your business closed. We also have to consider integrated texting. In 2026, customers don't want to talk, but they love to chat. Your CRM should include a two-way texting dashboard that stores every conversation in the customer's permanent record. If David texts to ask, "What brand of oil did you use last time?" any employee can look at the history and see the answer instantly. This unified communication ensures that the customer never has to repeat themselves, regardless of who answers the message. The fortune in the follow-up is a reality of the modern shop, but there is one final piece of the puzzle that ties everything together. While your CRM is bringing customers in the door and your technicians are fixing the cars, who is watching the total health of the entire operation? Most shop owners are so busy working in the business that they never work on the business. They have no idea if their marketing spend is actually generating a return or if their technicians are becoming less efficient over time. In the next part, we are going into the executive dashboard and multi-shop reporting. We are going to look at the big data that the top 1% of shop owners use to scale from 1 location to 5 or even 10. We are talking about the financial transparency that allows you to step away from the bay and start acting like a CEO. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. We are diving into the command center next. Imagine Marcus, a shop owner in suburban Chicago. It is October 2026, and Marcus is not standing in a service bay, nor is he sitting at a service desk. He is at his home office, looking at a single 27-inch monitor that displays the real-time digital pulse of his 3 different locations. One shop is 15 miles north, another is 10 miles south, and the third is in the heart of the city. In 2022, Marcus was nearly burnt out trying to manage just 1 location because he was the only person who knew the numbers. Today, his shop management software acts as his executive command center, providing him with a level of financial transparency that allows him to act as a CEO rather than a high-level fire extinguisher. This is the transition every ambitious American shop owner must make if they want to scale from a single-stall operation to a multi-location enterprise. The first thing Marcus looks at on his dashboard is the Unified Sales Report. In 2026, top-tier software like TechMetric or ShopMonkey provides a multi-shop module that aggregates data across all rooftops. Marcus can see that his north shop has already billed $4,000 by 11 a.m., while his south shop is lagging at 1,200. Because the data is live, Marcus doesn't have to wait until the end of the month to find out there is a problem. He clicks into the south shop's active workflow and sees that they have 6 cars in the awaiting approval phase. He realizes the service writer at that location is overwhelmed. With 2 clicks, Marcus reassigns some of the digital estimate follow-ups to a remote service assistant he hires part-time, clearing the bottleneck instantly. This is management by exception. You aren't looking for what is going right, you are looking for the anomalies that are going wrong. Historical trends in the U.S. automotive industry show that as a shop grows, the biggest leak is operational variance. This is when location A does things differently than location B. Location A might be using the 2026 escalator matrix we built in Part 4, but location B might have a service writer who is feeling bad for customers and manually discounting parts. Without a centralized command center, this leak could go undetected for years. Marcus's software allows him to lock the matrix across all locations. If a service writer wants to override a price, the software requires an admin code and a reason. At the end of the week, Marcus pulls an override report. If he sees that one employee is discounting 10% of their tickets, he has a data-backed coaching moment ready to go. Case studies from 2025 indicated that multi-shop owners who standardized their pricing matrices across locations saw a 3 to 5% increase in overall net profit simply by eliminating rogue discounting. Let us do a deep dive into the labor efficiency at scale. Marcus can see a side-by-side comparison of every technician across all 3 shops. He notices that his lead tech in the north shop, Sarah, is maintaining a proficiency of 110%, while his lead tech in the city shop, Brian, has dropped to 70%. Because the software tracks labor phases, Marcus can see that Brian isn't slow at fixing cars. He is spending an average of 45 minutes per car in the parts pending phase. Marcus realizes the city shop's primary parts vendor has changed their delivery route, causing a delay. Armed with this data, Marcus calls the vendor and negotiates a new delivery window or switches to a competitor. Without this command center view, Marcus might have assumed Brian was just losing his edge or getting lazy. Data removes the emotion from management. Then there is the issue of financial integrity and accounting integration. In 2026, the era of manual data entry into QuickBooks is dead. If your shop management software doesn't have a direct sync or a live bridge to your accounting platform, you are asking for human error to ruin your tax season. Marcus's software pushes every closed invoice, every parts purchase, and every core credit directly into his general ledger. This allows him to see a live P&L or profit and loss statement. He can see his debt service coverage ratio and his cash on hand in real time. This is critical because in a high inflation environment, knowing your true net after all expenses, including the rising cost of shop insurance and property taxes, is the only way to stay solvent. Potential outcomes of this level of integration include a 90% reduction in bookkeeping fees and a total elimination of year-end panic when meeting with a CPA. Step by step, to build your own command center, you must first identify your vital 5 metrics. For most elite American shops in 2026, these are average repair order, effective labor rate, gross profit margin on parts, technician proficiency, and marketing ROI. Your software should allow you to pin these 5 metrics to the top of your dashboard. Second, you must set up threshold alerts. If your parts margin drops below 45% at any location, the software should send you an email. If a technician's comeback rate hits 3%, you get a notification. This allows you to stay hands-off until the data tells you to be hands-on. Imagine the marketing ROI power in this system. Marcus spends $5,000 a month on a mix of Google Local Services ads, Facebook retargeting, and a local high school football sponsorship. In the past, he had no idea what was actually working. Today, his software uses unique tracking numbers and source tagging. When a customer books an appointment, the software asks how they found the shop, or better yet, it tracks the digital UTM code from their online booking. Marcus can see that the high school sponsorship brought in 20 customers, but they all had an ARO of under $50. Meanwhile, the Google ads brought in 10 customers with an ARO of $1,200. Marcus immediately shifts his budget toward the higher performing channel. This is how you harvest your database with surgical precision. We also have to consider inventory variance reports. In a multi-shop environment, parts grow legs and walk out the door if not tracked. Marcus's software performs a daily inventory reconciliation. It compares what was sold on invoices against what is physically left on the shelf. If the South Shop is consistently missing 5 quarts of synthetic oil every week, the software flags the discrepancy. This level of accountability ensures that your shrinkage stays near zero. Consider the scalability factor. Because Marcus has standardized his software and his data, opening his 4th location is now a copy and paste operation. He doesn't have to train a new manager on his way of doing things. The software is the way. The SOPs are built into the workflow. The new manager logs in, follows the digital cues, and Marcus can monitor their progress from his home office from day one. This is how the big chains operate, and in 2026, the independent shop owner finally has the same tools to compete. The potential outcomes of mastering the command center are not just about more money, they are about more time. Marcus now works 30 hours a week instead of 80. He spends his time looking at market trends and acquisition opportunities, instead of arguing over a parts invoice or wondering why the city shop is quiet. He has transitioned from a technician who owns a shop to a business owner who happens to be in the automotive industry. But there is one final hurdle. You have seen the math, you have seen the customer journey, and you have seen the power of the data. Now comes the hardest part of the entire masterclass: making the choice and surviving the migration. There are dozens of software options out there, all claiming to be the best. How do you pick the one that fits your specific shop size and specialty? And once you pick it, how do you move 10 years of customer data without losing a single phone number or service history? In the final part of this series, we are going to do a head-to-head comparison of the top 5 platforms in the US for 2026. We are going to give you the implementation roadmap to ensure your team doesn't revolt during the switch. We are finishing this masterclass with the final decision matrix. It is time to pull the trigger on your shop's future. Part 10 starts now. Imagine a shop owner named Derek in suburban Philadelphia. It is November 2026, and Derek has spent the last 9 weeks watching this masterclass, auditing his books, and realizing that his current software is the anchor dragging down his speed. He knows he needs to change, but he is terrified. He has 15 years of customer history, 20,000 repair orders, and a crew of technicians who have used the same blue screen interface since the day they were hired. This is the moment of truth. Choosing the right software is not just about comparing a feature list on a website. It is about finding the digital partner that fits your specific shop culture, your specialization, and your 5-year growth plan. In this final deep dive, we are putting the top contenders in the 2026 American market head-to-head and providing the step-by-step roadmap to migrate your data without losing your mind or your customers. The first category in our decision matrix is the all-in-one powerhouse. This is where platforms like Techmetric and ShopMonkey dominate. These systems are designed for the high-volume general repair shop that wants every single thing we have discussed: DVIs, two-way texting, parts aggregators, and multi-shop reporting, living under one roof. Historical trends show that these platforms are the gold standard for shops doing over $1 million in annual revenue. They are built on a logic of speed. If your shop relies on high turnover and a fast-paced front desk, these are your top tier. However, the potential outcomes of these systems come with a higher monthly subscription cost. You are paying for the engineering that keeps those thousands of moving parts in sync. The second category is the specialist scalpel. If you run a shop like Sarah's Euro Specialty in Austin, you might look at something like Protractor or a heavily customized version of Mitchell 1's Manager SE. These systems often offer deeper technical data integration. While the user interface might feel a bit more traditional or heavy, compared to the sleekness of ShopMonkey, the depth of the labor guides and the way they handle complex parts kits for European makes can be a deciding factor. If your ARO is consistently over $1,500 because you are doing complex engine timing or transmission work, you need software that prioritizes technical accuracy over a fast-click interface. The third category is the agile challenger. Systems like Repair Shop or even newer entries in the 2026 market cater to the smaller, 3-bay shops or mobile mechanics. These platforms often lead with lower entry costs and a modular approach. You only pay for what you use. If you are a solo operator or have just one tech, you might not need an executive command center or a complex tiered parts matrix yet. The potential outcomes here are lower overhead, while still getting the essential professionalism of a digital invoice and a text-based DVI. Now, let us look at the head-to-head implementation. Imagine Derek decides to pull the trigger on a new cloud-based system. Step 1 is the data cleanse. Do not move garbage from your old system to the new one. Case studies from 2025 show that shops that spent 48 hours cleaning up their duplicate customer files and obsolete parts lists before migrating had a 30% faster uptime in the new system. Your software provider will offer a mapping tool. This is where you tell the new software that old field A belongs in new field B. Derek needs to be hands-on here. If his old system labeled labor as mechanical, he needs to ensure the new system maps that to the correct labor category for his reporting. Step 2 is the parallel run phase. This is where most shops fail. You cannot just flip a switch on a Monday morning and expect a perfect day. We recommend a soft launch. For 3 days, Derek should have his service writer enter 3 or 4 tickets into both the old and the new systems. This allows the team to see where the friction points are. How does the text-to-pay look on a real phone? How long does it take for the parts to push from the aggregator to the invoice? This beta period builds confidence in the staff. If they see that the software actually works on a live car, they are far less likely to revolt when the old system is finally turned off. Step 3 is technician training. Do not underestimate the learning curve for Dave and Alex in the back. In 2026, the best software companies provide academy videos and sandbox environments. Derek should pay his techs for 4 hours of shop time on a Saturday to just play with the tablets. Let them take photos of their own trucks, build a fake DVI, and practice clocking in and clocking out. If a tech feels stupid in front of a customer or another tech because they can't find the submit button, they will hate the software forever. Training is the insurance policy for your software investment. Step 4 is the cutover weekend. This is the grand opening of your digital shop. Derek shuts down the old server on Friday at 5 p.m. He spends Saturday ensuring every active RO is manually moved into the new system so his Monday morning isn't a disaster. On Monday morning, he has a support rep from the software company on a live Zoom or in person to handle the "I forgot my password" or "the printer isn't connecting" issues. Historical trends indicate that the first 48 hours of a software switch are the danger zone. If you can get through Tuesday without a major bottleneck, you have succeeded. Let us consider the financial integration step. Derek must link his bank accounts and his QuickBooks online on day 1. He needs to run a test sales tax report at the end of the first week. If the software is calculating tax for a different county or failing to account for non-taxable labor in his state, he needs to catch it immediately. Potential outcomes of a poorly configured tax module include massive fines or a nightmare audit in 2027. We also have to talk about the hidden multiplier: customer education. Derek shouldn't just change his software. He should market the change. He sends a text to his entire database: "We've upgraded. Our new digital system lets you see what we see with photos and videos of your car, plus easy text approvals and payment. We're doing this to make your life easier." This turns a back-end change into a front-end value. It tells his customers that his shop is investing in their experience. Imagine Derek 6 months later. It is March 2027. His ARO is up by $180. His technicians are billing 50 hours a week because they aren't walking the tax. His service writer is leaving at 5 p.m. instead of 6:30 p.m. because the software handles the end-of-day reports automatically. Derek is currently looking at a real estate app, considering a second location 3 towns over. The software didn't guarantee this success, but it provided the efficiency engine that made it possible. This 10-part masterclass was designed to show you that your shop is not just a place where cars get fixed. It is a data-driven business that relies on the speed of information. Whether you choose ShopMonkey, TechMetric, Mitchell One, or any other platform, the best software is the one you actually use to its full potential. Do not buy a Ferrari and drive it like a golf cart. Use the matrices, use the automated marketing, use the real-time labor tracking, and use the executive dashboards. As we wrap up this deep dive, the open loop for your future is simple. The technology in the cars is moving at light speed. Hybrid EV and ADAS systems are becoming the majority of your bays. If your software isn't ready for the connected vehicle era, where the car itself tells the shop it needs a part before the customer even knows, you will be left behind. We are moving into the age of the autonomous service center. The choice you make today determines if you are the one running that center or the one closing your doors. Now go back to part 1 if you missed any of the financial logic, or dive into our specific deep dive reviews of each platform to see the actual user interfaces in action. The tools are here. The data is clear. Your shop's evolution starts with the next click. It is time to lead the American aftermarket into the future. We will see you in the next series, where we tear down the EV service model and how to prepare your bays for the electric revolution. Your journey is just beginning.